with another episode of the Hooligans League podcast. And we have a very, very special episode this week because, you know why. It is the trade party special. Pew, 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 pew. I don't have the effects ready. Get some claps.
Every time.
Oh, you gotta give him that huck.
Okay, that's enough. We got a big episode because it's the biggest weekend of the year, even bigger than the Hooligans League Championship. And we got a lot of fun this episode. A couple surprises per usual. And then a lot of the normal shit that we do just about every week. So, hopefully, everyone is in the building right now. And that way we can all get into it together. So, hooligans, are you fucking ready? Are you fucking ready? Because we're about to get into it. Hooligans League podcast, trade party special. Let's go!
Best in the business when it comes to a quarterback sneak. Let's go! 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 Let's go!
All right. We are here. It is Friday around 3 o'clock. Hopefully everyone made it by the time they said, so we have plenty of time for all the activities we have. I can't believe we are here. Third year in a row, we've had the trade deadline party. We're in this multi-million-dollar home. Shout out to Radler for making this happen. This is the first year we have had every league mate in attendance. Still not quite at full attendance the entire time, but an epic milestone. And I think this is the most time we will have in total spent together too, because we had, I think, 9 of us, maybe 9 of us here last night. All 12 right now. And we might even have a hooligan alum in the building this weekend. This will be the best trade deadline party of all time. It's the owners' meeting. And we got a lot of business to tackle. But before we really get into all the business, we're here for fun too. So before we jump into the normal programming, we're going to do what we've done, I think, the past 2 years. Start with some drinking games. I don't care if it's only 3 o'clock. When I set this up, we were originally going to be doing this at night. So if you haven't started drinking, go get a fucking drink. Then we'll go through our normal programming. And then we'll get into all the extracurriculars. So if you don't have a drink or some weed, actually you can't smoke in the house, so not that. Just get a damn drink. Live it up. Get loose so you can be more confident with making some trades. Some liquid trade courage. But we're gonna get into the drinking game. So let's do that. And just for fun. Okay. So running it back just like we did last year, very similar style. Round 1 is trivia. I'm going to ask a question about our league. The first person to get it correct gives a drink to someone else. You get it wrong, you drink. Very fucking simple. Okay? Okay. So, trivia. Question number 1. Who in our league has the most career losses? Who has lost the most? Give you some time to answer. Maybe I gotta pause it if I'll pause the video if I need to. You ready? Of course, it's Dick. 92 losses. Now, he doesn't have the lowest losing percentage, but he's been in the league since day one and has compiled a lot of L's over the years. Question number 2. Dan Santola scored 207.58 points against Dick back in week 5 of this season. You know, he's currently the leader in points scored in any given week. Where does that performance rank all time in our league? I'll pause. Did any fuckers get it right? Let's see. It is 3rd all time. It was the 3rd highest performance all time in our league. I knew it was a good performance when it happened and said that was going to be the winner for the year. I did not realize just how good of a performance that was. Question number 3. Who has the highest scoring week ever in our league? Who was number 1 all time? Hold on, go away. The answer is Radler in week 1 against me, I think 2 seasons ago. Could be last year. I didn't write that down. He scored 217.22 points. What a week. Started the year like that. That's crazy. Question number 4. What is the most points scored in a playoff loss? How many points is the most ever scored in a playoff loss? Because you're not going to get it exact, I'm just going to give credit to whoever is closest. And now that I think about it, I'm probably not going to have the answer on me, so I'm just going to let you guess right now. Maybe some of you have gotten it right already. Maybe you're not even close. But we'll find out the answer right now because I actually forget what the answer is. So the answer to the most points in a playoff loss, I know it was against me. Never mind, not against me. It was me. 154.4 points in a playoff loss against Dick. That asshole. I can't beat him. And now I remember why I put this question in here. I just wanted to have a pity party for myself because not only do I have the most points scored in a playoff loss, I have 3 of the top 10 most points scored in a playoff loss. I have the 7th most points in a playoff loss when I went against Silverman in the 2016 championship. And then I have the 10th most points in a playoff loss against Rick in the 2018 championship. Fucking playoffs suck. Throw that out there. So yeah. That's why I have no championships. That's the only reason why. Is because my opponents really just step up their game when they see me. Question number 5. Which two managers hold the record for most combined points in a weekly matchup? Total points between the two teams. Which two teams are we talking about? Answer. Andy and Rick. Last year, actually, week 13, 377.14 points. I want to say that Rick might have been in the top two, number one and number two. If not Rick, then it was Andy. One of them was. Question 6. According to League Legacy, me, Mark, Kamish, and Rick have pulled off 9 of the league's top 10 most lopsided trades. This is League Legacy. When I say lopsided, this means after the fact. We've had the most successful trades in our favor. Post-trade. 9 of the top 10, according to League Legacy. Who is the other manager who rounds off the top 10? Which manager has a top 10 trade in our league besides me and Rick? I'll pause while you discuss. And the answer is Chris. Last year, actually, apparently was a top 10 trade in your favor, trading PJ Walker to Andy for $10 in fab. That apparently made the cut. So I don't remember what PJ Walker did after that trade, but it must have been jack shit to the point where they thought this was an amazing trade for you. Question 7. Who has the most career playoff wins without a championship? Who has won the most in the playoffs without winning at all? Only a small list of people who have not won championships in our league. Answer. Dan Santola. He has 8 playoff wins and 0 titles. Sucks, huh? Fuck everybody who has a championship. Double fuck those who have more than one. Question number 9. Nope, 8. Question number 8. Which manager reached 10 career wins the fastest? Who was the fastest to reach 10 career wins? This will be a surprise to some of you. But if you really think about it, it actually is easy if you know your history. Answer. Ryan Caveney. Ryan Caveney did it in 12 weeks. Now, if you recall, Caveney wasn't in the first year of the Hooligans League and won the championship in year 2, which was his first year. I believe his first year ever doing fantasy football. And he started 10-2. Pretty damn impressive. Question 9. According to League Legacy, which 2 managers are best all time at drafting quarterbacks? Which 2 managers have had the most success drafting quarterbacks? Answer. Hopkins and Joe V. Wouldn't have guessed this at all. Probably has to do with, I know Joe V drafts quarterbacks late, so that's probably why. But they were also like the clear favorites at the 2. There was a big gap between Hopkins and Joe V and whoever was in third. Joe V and Hopkins were like fractions of a decimal point away from each other. Okay. So final question. According to League Legacy, who had the best draft pick of all time? Best draft pick all time. Who is it? Which manager had it? Answer: Andy Bobandy. Back in 2021, drafts Cooper Kupp, the last pick of the 4th round, and Cooper Kupp exploded. Had one of the best wide receiver seasons of all time, if not the best. Andy, congratulations. You're the owner of the greatest draft pick ever in our league. Salute, man. Okay. So that was round 1, trivia. Now, round 2 is give a drink. And if you don't remember, this is when I am going to ask questions to each of you. And you then get to give a drink based on your answers to that question. And so maybe I say, Caveney, who's in first place? He would say James, and then James would drink. Obviously, these questions will be much more subjective than that, but that's how it works. Okay. So, yeah. Woo! I'm ready now. Let's get into it. So give a drink, motherfuckers. Andy, you're up first. Who is going to text you the most about trades, I should clarify, while you are baby showering for the rest of the weekend? And if you're not here, Andy, then everybody drinks. If Andy has already left, then everybody drinks. But Andy, if you're here, give someone a drink if you think they're going to text you the most about trades while you are not here. Dick, who is most likely to get trade raped this weekend? Feel free to say yourself, but who's most likely to get trade raped? Cool. Chow, who is going to break the most shot glasses this weekend? That's what I thought too. James, whose team is going to look the most different after this weekend? Cool. Respect that choice. Chris, who is going to be the MVP of the Rager Cup? I haven't even gone through the rules of the Rager Cup yet, but still. Good choice. Rick, who's the easiest to talk trades with? Last year I asked you who was the hardest. Now I'm asking you this year, who is the easiest? I agree. Radler, who is going to win the Hooligans League championship this year? I know who it's not going to be, but who do you think will be our champion? Questionable choice. Caveney, you missed it last year, so you get a free square. Give to whoever you'd like. Joe V, who isn't drinking enough? Yeah, obviously. Dan Santola, Who would win in a race? Dick or Andy? The question we all want answered. Sean Dolan, are you in the building? The invite was extended. We're hoping to have our first Hooligan alum in the building. If you are here, I have a question for you. If you were still in the league, who would you want to beat the most? You can go in any direction with this one. Sean, if you're not here, then everybody has to drink right now. Fair compromise. Mark, who didn't make the trade deadline party last year? Caveman, drink, motherfucker. And last, this one is for everyone. Give a drink to someone you want to talk trades with immediately after the podcast. Just get the juices flowing, get some conversations going. Woo! Okay. Fun stuff. Now, it's time. For the real podcast. So let's fucking get into it. Okay. 11 weeks down. Which is nuts. But thankfully that means we got 0 weeks till the trade party. We up in the building already. And only 3 weeks till playoffs. So it's a weird time. A shorter turnaround from the trade deadline to the playoffs. We'll see how that impacts things this year. But now we're getting into the weekly review. Okay? Let's talk about rivalry week. It's felt like a long time since rivalry week. I guess it has been. Since it's Friday right now. Let's talk about it.
It's time for a weekly review.
So, a lot of good matchups. Some annoying ones. Dicky beat me by 17. I think he's won 8 of the last 9 times he's played me. I said he owned me on the last podcast. I felt pretty damn good. But I got dicked. So yeah, that's all I need to say about that. Actually, I meant to add another question for that second game we played. Because I wanted to add a question and have someone answer it. Who complains the most in our league when their team is winning? Because Dicky, it was annoying as fuck to listen to you be scared to me or in our group chat. Like, for multiple days, I had to listen to you talk about how you were afraid you were going to lose, even though the percentages were heavily in your favor. And I'm sitting there like, oh, fuck, I might go 0-2 this week. And Dick's like, oh, Nico, oh, Bijan, Josh Allen. Shut the fuck up. Just defect your head. I gotta listen to you whine while I'm losing to you is crazy. Pet peeve. Don't bitch when your team's winning. Okay? I try not to do it. I get it. But damn. So if you guys want to call out who does that the most, I would find a good chuckle out of that. Okay. Yeah, I'm still clearly upset about losing to Dick. Rick, this one upset me too. Rick had a huge week. in a week that he kind of threw away. Beats Caveney 163-122. The fucking hula goat is hula goating all over your faces, including mine. I hate it. I hate it. A matchup I didn't mind. Dan Santola had another big week. Kid's hot right now. Beats Andy 173-137. The kid can't be stopped. Jamar Chase just keeps going off. And he did this with Lamar Jackson not even having a big week. Team is scary. Then we had James beating Joe V. It's been a while since we've had a really good success story from Joe V here. James, I mean, he's got a lot of dubs, but he beat him by 50. Fucking bully. First place, last place, and doesn't even give him a chance. Then we had Radler versus Silverman, one of the two lower matchups, ranked teams in the league. Probably the lowest ranked matchup we had this week. Actually, it definitely was. Radler beat Silverman by over 30. Former Hooligan Golf champions going head to head in rivalry week. Silverman needed that win bad. Sorry, bud. And then last we had Chow versus Chris, softball teammates. Chris, man, your team's hurting. Now, no one is sympathetic. But as you said, you're not looking for that sympathy, but no one feels bad because you've beaten a lot of us. But shout out to Chow. He's been working really hard. He's been keeping his team afloat. And he gets a much needed win right before trade deadline. So if you're a loser like me, make sure you pay the winner $10. Venmo them. I sent Dickie 6 payments today, or I guess on Wednesday. I was going to do 10 $1 payments, but lost focus after 6 of them. But make sure you send that $10 to the winner. Let's talk league median.
Median monster.
League median was 136.52, a pretty high median. Probably the second or third highest we've had all year. Only impacted 2 of the matchups. Andy lost to Dan Santola's 173 points, but he beat the median. So he goes 1-1 despite the loss. And then Chow only put up 135 in his victory. So he goes 1-1 despite the win. So that's what went down for the median. For cash prizes, we had $20 obviously going to Dan for his big week, and then $10 going to Rick for his second place performance. All right, honestly, the biggest matchup of the week was the Survivor Championship, I should say. The two Dans going head to head in this matchup. Dan Santola's first ever appearance in the Survivor Championship. Dan Silverman's third time in the Survivor Championship. It's very obvious who won, and that was not Silverman. Silverman had cut it close multiple weeks this year, being the second to last scoring team. I think 4 different times. But he stayed alive and made it all the way to week 11, but he couldn't pull it off. Not a piss poor, pathetic performance, but not good enough to win the Survivor Championship. That's Dan Santola. One of the higher scoring teams in our league. The highest scoring team this season in both total points and highest week. I mean, the kid has just been putting on a performance, and he has been oh so hot lately. He is our Survivor champion. Give it up to Dan. That's $50. Dan's journey wasn't always pretty. He actually was almost eliminated in week 1. He was a bottom 3 team. But then from that point forward, pretty clean road. Week 6, he was 1 spot away from getting eliminated. Week 8, he was 1 spot away. But besides that, he was squeaky clean, especially in the final 2 weeks of the contest. He was the number 1 scoring team in our league, not just in the survivor pool, but in the entire league, back-to-back weeks. So, Dan, congratulations. That's $50 to you. I will send that right now if I haven't already. And last up for our weekly review is the manager of the week. Yes, we have a manager of the week this week because it is the trade party special, so you know we had to bring it. And this manager, it's fucking Rick. It's fucking Rick, the hula goat. He's just turning it on. He hides in the freaking weeds for a while, and then he just jumps out and grabs a hold of the league. And he's got a pretty tight grip on it right now. Now, he's the manager of the week for a few reasons. Honestly, because he just dominated the week. First, he starts with this blockbuster trade where he acquires arguably the most valuable asset in fantasy football. I want to say he's pretty much a lock to be top 3 if we were drafting today. Saquon Barkley, Elijah Moore, who actually looked pretty damn good. Rick dropped him. And Will Levis for Sam Darnold, Devonta Smith, and Najee. And boy, was this a trade. It catapulted Rick up the Fantasy Pros power rankings from an 85 rating to a 94 immediately. So that's how he started the week on Thursday. Blockbuster trade transforms his team into a juggernaut. And we haven't even reached the weekend yet. He then goes into that week, maybe not expecting to lose, but having a much higher chance of losing. Now, if you recall, he wouldn't get Barkley this week. He would play Devonta Smith, and then he would be getting Levis and Moore. And Devonta Smith, who stayed on Rick's team, wasn't good. But Rick still puts up a massive win. Not only beats Caveney, but goes 2-0 in the week and wins $10. What the fuck? Makes this big trade, gets a really good player, has to sacrifice this week a little bit, but it doesn't even hurt him. Doesn't even hurt him. And to top it off, he snags Tommy DeVito, Tommy Cutlets. As soon as the news breaks, those fucking Twitter alerts, Rick gets him when the Giants announce him as the starting quarterback on Monday morning. And now his team is even better. He traded away quarterback depth to get Barkley and got it right back. And now Rick is the number 1 ranked team rest of season. Fucking hula goat. I'm not the goat. Rick is the hula goat. He dominated the week. And now he's got the trade deadline party. So, let's make sure we feed him, sneak him a 12 milligrams in, slide in some sativas into his weed. I don't know. We got to start sabotaging this dude because this late season push has been one honestly, it would be for the history books if you were to go on and win the league this year. Injuries. Let's talk injuries. There weren't many, at least that I could recall. Alexander Madison went down. He was on a bench. Darnell Mooney went down again. I'm not sure if Caveney was playing him. And then George Kittle didn't get hurt in the game, but he was ruled out before the game. There was some other injuries that occurred. I'm not going to dive into them all. What's more important here is that week 12 is the bye-mageddon. There are 6 fucking teams on bye this week. 6 of them. 3 of my best players are out this week. I'm sure a lot of you are facing challenges because we have the Falcons, the Bills, the Bengals, the Jaguars, the Saints, and the Jets all on bye this week. So what do we do about this? Well, some of us who have fab dollars, we spend it. Let's see what we did with it. Not much, actually. Not much at all. This was one of the lighter fab weeks we've had all year, if not the lightest. I think this was definitely the least amount of money spent in a week. Chris kicked it off. A series of actually a few people did $6 bids, paid $6 for Tank Bigsby. Andy spent $6 on Westbrook and $6 on Will Dissly. Then Caveney spent $5 on Roschon Johnson. Rather spent $2 on the Buccaneers defense. Poopskins spent $1 on the Commanders defense. And Dickey spent $1 on Kendrick Bourne. There were a bunch of other ones, but it was either $1 and no bid or $0 transactions. How do we do? Pretty good, actually. It's a boring ass week with only $6 being the highest bid. I had to give some poop emojis away just because I really enjoy shitting on the bad fab moves. So, Chris, you wasted $3 on Bigsby. You paid double what you needed to. Not bad, but I guess when you're broke, it hurts more. Andy, you wasted $1 on Westbrook and $2 on Dissly. Not bad. Caveney, you wasted $3 on Roschon. Could have got him for $2 and you paid $5. That's the worst move out of all of these. And then Radler, you wasted $1 on the Bucks. Jimmer, perfect bid on the Commanders. You needed to bid $1 and you did. And then Dickey, perfect on Bourne. You needed to bid $1 and you did. So, not much excitement there. But that's really because all the excitement is about to begin. Before we jump in, it's time we bring it back for a hooligan flashback. Hooligan. It's been a while, and I figured what a fitting time to bring this back today. And so for this week's hooligan flashback, we're going to go down memory lane and look at past trade deadline parties. Let's flash back to 2021, our first ever trade party, aka Andrew's bachelor party. If you don't remember, because so many people were at the bachelor party, we initiated for the first time that any trade that went through would be immediate. And I don't know if this is accurate. But apparently we only made 2 trades, which seems kind of wild. So I don't know if something went wrong here. These are the only 2 trades I remember, but honestly, embarrassing if we only made 2 trades. But I did want to highlight those. The first trade ever at a trade deadline party was between Dan and Chris Santola, a big trade that was swapping A.J. Brown and Deontay Johnson for Mike Evans and Emmanuel Sanders. A 2-for-2 swap at the same position. Very unique trade. I don't remember who ended up winning that trade and how it worked for you two, but I believe that's the first ever trade deadline party of all time. Dan did another trade later that night with me. I know that Amari Cooper had a buy left, and I know that I needed to make a trade. And I think this actually worked out for me. I think a lot of people question this trade, but Darnell Mooney, back when he was a Bear, held down the fort and helped me. I don't know if he helped me like not get last place or helped me make the playoffs, but it was a big trade. Big trade for me personally. So those are the two first ever trade deadline parties. And if those were the only two, then I'm glad we've scaled up the amount of trades we do, because that is pathetic if we only did two. 2022, the first actual trade party back in Rhode Island, I think is where we in Connecticut. I don't remember. That tiny little house where Dickie slept outside and Rick slept in a freezing basement. Wanted to highlight, honestly, the monumental trade that went down. And this was the first ever 3-team trade in our league. League Legacy can't capture 3-team trades, but it did capture them as 2 separate transactions. This was the trade where Rick somehow snuck into Chow and Dick's trade because they were like a perfect match and somehow walked away winning the trade. Rick got Tyreek Hill, Dak Prescott. Yeah, this is wrong because I'm pretty sure Rick got... Oh, no, he got Dak Prescott. What happened to Dick? Dick ended up only having one quarterback after this trade. I don't remember it exactly, but pretty monumental trade. Really hurt Dick, helped Rick, and ultimately helped win Chow the championship. So, historic trade, worth the flashback. And then last year, got to highlight one trade, but I believe this was one of the first trades of the weekend, if not the first. Maybe it was the first on Saturday. Dick and Joe V. Dick gives Joe V Keenan Allen for Adam Thielen and Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker, I believe, immediately gets hurt, and Joe V ultimately ends up winning the championship. When you make moves at the trade deadline party, it results in championships. Monumental trades have resulted in championships. So do not make moves this weekend, because if you don't make a trade, history says you will not win the championship. Okay, so that's our hooligan flashback. Perfectly fitting, because once this podcast is over, I'm sure we're going to start having some trades go down. Now, let's start looking at where we're at for the league.
Let's look at the season standings.
So James is back at first. I'm going to start going a little bit more quickly here, because it's going to be like a 2-hour episode. James is back on top, first place in the league. Master bed. That's all that's got to be said. Then there's me, still in second. Rick jumps up to third. What a week for the kid. Chris falls down to fourth. Dan Santola stays in fifth. And Andy stays in sixth, which is very big for him because his team was sinking. Then we have Chow stays in seventh, just literally, what do we got? 3 points away from the playoffs. Dickie jumps up to eighth with his 2-0 win over me. 10-12 now. Started 0-8. Fucking Dick. Then we have Rather, who's up to 9 with his 9-13 record after his 2-0 week. Then Caveney, also 9 and 13, falls down to 10, though, because of Radler and Dick's big weeks. Silverman is now in 11th place after back-to-back 0-2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, he was number 2 in the power rankings. Now he is in 11th, at risk of coming in last. Sad story. And then Jovi's at last. He's been there quite a long time. Very, very long time. Cash prizes. James, obviously the favorite to win the $100 prize, followed by me, Rick, and Chris. 2 of us are looking like we will get the first round buys and the money that go with them. Then for most points, Dan Santola is the leader by over 30 with 1,571. Chris is behind him. James is about 10 behind Chris. And then me and Rick are, a pretty sizable gap between us and Dan. But we're right around 1,500. Dan Santola, you are the ultimate survivor. No more updates to that category, and you're still in first for the best week. New updates to the money. Dan Santola is now the money leader. By himself, he has made back $70. 3-time number 1 scorer. Rick gets his second number 2 score, getting him up to $20. And then Jovi gets his 4th worst scoring performance of the year. Thankfully, there is no penalty for that because that would be costly. Rick, where you at, bud?
I'm Pickle Rick.
Last week, Rick was at 69 transactions in pursuit of 100. This week, 76. Not bad. Not bad. 7 more transactions, including that giant trade and the Tommy DeVito pickup. Man, maybe I don't want Rick making any more transactions. Yeah. If you want to stay below 80, I am cool with that. All right. Now let's talk week 12. Let's talk week 12. We're wrapping up. We're getting to week 12.
Weekly preview.
All right. So time for some power rankings, and there is a lot of movement. This is the first week where I will make commissioner adjustments. Only one, but it's still one. So yeah, don't get mad at me. This is mostly based on the numbers. If you hate your ranking, well, then you should just hate your team then, because that's who determines this. At the top spot, for the first time, I think all season, fucking Rick. I mean, I know there's not much more to say. It's already been said. He's taken a firm grip, a stranglehold on the damn league. He's first in Fantasy Pros rest of season. He's first this week. He was second in points last week, and he's in the top 3, looking to secure a bye. Climbs 5 spots in the power ranking in 1 week. Thank you, Andy. In number 2, still James. Team's still very good. Still very good. He's been one of the top teams all season, and nothing's really changed. He has taken a hit with CeeDee Lamb not being, a top guy anymore, but it hasn't hurt him much. I'm in third. I told you there's a curse on the number 1 power ranking spot. Hopefully that hits Rick, because, every time I think my team's going to be good, it's not. I will be honest. For this episode, I have written 2 different rap songs. I was going to make another music video. A couple weeks ago, I wrote or started writing. I can't remember how much I actually got through. A remix to what was it? Oh, my version of Dear Stan or Stan. Writing a letter to my team about how they fucking suck and can't get me wins, and how Puka gets kicked out of games, and then I was ready to make a music video for it, and then my team did well, and so then I started writing a song to Roll Out by Ludacris about how they were good, and I was gonna celebrate my team, and then we lose to Dickey and go 0-2 in rivalry week. Lose the bed. Lose $10. And so now I just don't know how to feel about my team. Now, I complained about complaining while you're on top. Yes, I'm still in second place, but I've never won a fucking championship, y'all. I'm just trying to, and I don't know. I'm getting desperate. I'm trading Dickey, Dalton Kincaid for Trey Lance. I'm getting desperate. It's bad, but I'm still top 3, both in the standings and the power rankings. And I'm 2 rest of season, according to Fantasy Pros. The next 3, all have their own unique storylines. Dan Santola, he falls down 1 spot, but he's still in 4th. He's the home run hitter. He has back-to-back weeks as the league's leading scorer, but still falls down a spot. I think that's just because of his Fantasy Pros ranking. I think Rick jumped him in Fantasy Pros and in the standings, actually, maybe. And he's 6th rest of season. So I think that's the only thing that's hurting him. Chris has just been slowing down. Not really sure what it is. I think it's just a bad stretch. His team's still very, very good. And then Chow, he's been fighting for the playoff spot. He still hasn't earned it, but he's been doing the right things. And he's right there. He just needs to steal a couple wins and hope that Andy starts to lose. That rounds out the top 6 in the power rankings. Next up are 3 teams in very different places. Dick jumps 3 spots up to the 7th spot after his big 2-0 week. He's officially a playoff contender. Dickey has gone from 0-8 to being a playoff contender. He's in 8th place in our league. He's had a few really good weeks recently. And he's officially in the mix. And we all know what happens when Dickey makes it to the playoffs. He usually has a lot of good luck and wins. And this would not be the first time that Dick has snuck into the playoffs. And so if he does, I'll be a little nervous and annoyed. Andy, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. He's fighting for his life. He is trading Saquon Barkley. His team is riddled with injuries still, but he's surviving. He's fighting for his life. He's only in the playoffs by 3 points, but he's surviving. And he was the manager of the first half of the season, gave him that honor. He has 2 championships to his name, won the first ever Hooligans League championship. So we'll see what he can do in this final stretch to see if he can stay alive in the playoff hunt. But Fantasy Pros certainly does not think he will. They have him ranked as the last team, the worst team. His rating has gone down even further than it did after the Barkley trade. I'm not sure what happened to your team last week, but they did not like something that went down. And then Dan Silverman, one of the best teams in the league, according to Fantasy Pros, 4th rest of season. But we've been talking about that for a while, and his team just doesn't show up. So it's looking like he is the toilet bowl favorite because his playoff chances are very slim at this point. He would need to get very hot, but if he doesn't make the playoffs, according to Fantasy Pros, he's going to have the best team by far. So at least you have that to look forward to, but you still can sneak in. So do not give up. Then we got Ryan and Radler. Two teams that have a shot at the playoffs. Ryan actually fell down 2 spots in the power rankings because of his poor week. And then Radler jumped up 1. But they're on the outside looking in for sure. But with a couple big weeks, they'll be right in the mix with Dickey, Andy, and Chow. And then last here, Jovi's really just fighting to not come in last, and even that is looking pretty bleak. He would need Silverman to keep falling, or one of those other teams to just really suck to not get last place. So those are the power rankings. One note, you'll see next to Dan Silverman's team, he actually was the 8th ranked team overall, but had to give him a little penalty because he is in 11th place in the league. And so I couldn't have him that high up in the power rankings when he really doesn't have much of a shot to make the playoffs. And more adjustments will be made in future weeks. Here's the numbers. I'm not going to pause it right now because we're not going to look at these right now. But if you want to go look at where all of your numbers ended up, you can go into YouTube and pull it up if you are into that. So I almost completely forgot that we have games this week. I just had to add this slide in real quick. Week 12 matchups. Very important. Let's talk about those. And another thing that I'm realizing now, we're going to have 9 of us together for Thursday Night Football. We got Browns versus... Who are they playing? Seahawks? Am I making that up? Of course, the ESPN app doesn't work. I don't know. Browns versus somebody. Thursday Night Football. A bunch of us are going to be together. Should be a lot of fun. I know I have a couple Browns who will probably be playing. Going against James, number 1 versus number 2 in the league. Wow. Big week. James, luckily, faces me without Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Bijan Robinson. And I think that's it. So, yeah, I'm not in a great place right now, but that's okay. We'll figure out a way to make it work. Then we got Rick versus Silverman. I don't know if this is accurate. Silverman might have a ton of buys this week because his team is projected for 86 points. Wow. That's wow. I hope that's not correct. Then we have Dan Santola versus Chow, who actually, to go back, I mean, Rick is on a heater, and Silverman is desperate for a win. Dan, if this is your true team, please make some moves so you can play a whole lineup. Also note, if you don't fill a lineup, you have to add $5 to the first place prize. So no, because we're at the trade party and you can't bring a 30 pack anymore. Now it's just, I think it's either a $5 or $10 penalty if you don't fill your lineup. So got a few teams who are going to be struggling to do that this week. Dan Santola is going against Chow. Santola is in 5th place in the league and Chow is in 7th. They're fighting for these final playoff spots. This is a huge week for those two. Look pretty evenly matched. Then we have Caveney versus Radler, both with 9 and 13 records. The winner of this might eliminate the other from the playoffs. I'm not sure. I haven't done the math yet, but that's a huge matchup as well. Also pretty evenly matched. Then we got Jovi, who might not even have anybody missing. His team just is always projected low. he's going against Dick, who also doesn't have a very high projection right now. Dick is trying to make the playoffs, and Joe's trying not to come in last. So another big matchup. And then Chris versus Andy. We've talked a lot about Andy's team and how he's fighting for his life. And Chris is pretty comfortably in playoff position right now, but he has fallen off a little bit. So I'm sure he's feeling the pressure to get a win. He desperately needs one if he wants to be back in contention for the first round bye. So those are our week 12 matchups. Games kick off. I'm so dumb. Thursday Night Football was last night. Oh, yeah, I'm just recording it the day before Thursday Night Football. So we've already seen how some of these matchups have played out. This is what happens when I don't write myself notes or write a script. I'm just fucking, I don't know what day it is. I don't know what day it is. It is Friday. So hopefully my Browns are doing well and James is in panic mode. Those are the week 12 matchups. They've already started. I hope all your players have been miserable and mine were great. But now it's time to get to the main event. Let's talk true trade party business, okay? But first, before we jump into the final stretch of this episode, we have a special guest. Somebody in our league would like a word with all of you, all of us. I'm included. I assume I might get some shots in here from this person. Someone has prepared notes and they would like to address the Hooligans League. So I'm going to pull up a prepared presentation from this manager, and he's going to walk you through his presentation. And that person is Dick. Okay? I don't know really what he has planned. I kind of do. I've seen the slides. We've talked a little bit about it, but you never know what you're going to get with Dick. So, Dickie, the floor is yours. I will pause your PowerPoint presentation on each slide and let us have it, bud. All right. Good stuff, Dick, I think. I don't know. I don't know where he went with that. So I can only pretend so much. But that's the type of fucking energy that we're looking for. Okay. That is what we're looking for. If you have ideas, send them my way and we're getting it into the podcast. I already know of one other thing that is booked for at some point this season. I've discussed a couple other ideas with a couple people. If you have something you'd like to do or you'd like to see me try to do, reach out and we'll get it in there. Shout out to you, Dick, for adding your special segment to this week's podcast. But now we're getting to the real meat, okay? It's time to get this fucking party going. Let the trade party begin. A few different things we got to discuss. And then we're going to ring that fucking bell and get it going. First up, last reminder, pay your rivals if they beat you. $10. Send it to them. I'm going to put it into League Legacy, and then I'm done with it. It's on you to get your own money after this. But on the topic of money, a bunch of people bought groceries and shit. Radler's paying for the house, and that's probably most, if not all, of the expenses. But we will figure out all the money next week. Okay, so don't worry about it. But if you paid for something or are buying things, just make sure you keep track of how much you spent so that we can split that all up afterwards. But that's it for money. Pay your rivals. Everything else we'll figure out next week. So let's talk trade party. Okay. Trading schedule. So gonna ring the damn bell after the podcast. You have until 6 p.m. to make trades. Then we're gonna shut it off for dinner. And just like a mental break. And then it'll be back on at 8 until midnight. So a light day of trading on Friday. Then Saturday, it's all fucking day, basically. We're going to open the window back up at 10 a.m., shut it down at 4, open it at 7, and it runs till 1 a.m. So that's the trading schedule. We'll ring the bells and make the announcements so that you know what's happening when. Next up is the Rager Cup. Okay? The Rager Cup, first ever Rager Cup. We were going to do a golf simulator tournament, a Ryder Cup, but that would have taken a lot more time, and that would have locked people in. And then we started talking about N64 and Mario Kart, and this idea came to me. And so the way this will work is we are going to elect 2 team captains. Those captains will draft teams. Each team will compete in a series of events that take place Friday, Saturday. There's going to be a list of activities. We do each activity once a day, and you get a point for each win you get. And that winning team will be the Rager Cup champions. Very simple. The activities, let's talk about it. So there's 5 different categories. There's sports, there's video games, there's board games, card games kind of thing, drinking games, and sports bets. Okay? Each game will be completed once each day. You have to have different competitors play in both days. So no, Silverman, you don't get to compete in golf both days. That's unfair. But Rick, you can't do Mario Kart both days. That you see where I'm going? Okay. And so for the sports, and I'll review all this very shortly on one slide in a moment. There's 2 activities. We got golf, 2v2, best ball. So you take whoever scored the best for your team. That's the score you get. It's up to whoever is playing if they want to do 9 or 18 holes. You all, honestly, you do the rules. Once you decide you're playing each other, say it's me and Rick versus Andy and Chow, we meet as a group and decide how we want to play. If you want to do 18 holes at the hardest course from the black tees, by all means, do it. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Each competition, you're figuring out your own rules, and then you report back who won. Same for pool, 2v2. We got a pool table, might as well use it. Competitors pick the rules. Same shit. Report back who wins. So just need to have 2 different teams, one for Friday, one for Saturday. Video games. No, Fortnite is not one of these. Mario Kart. 2v2 because you can only do 4 controllers on N64. Again, competitors pick the rules and format, tracks, whatever. You could make this a fucking hour-long event if you wanted, or you can just make it one race. It's up to the group who's playing and how long they want to do it for. The other video game is any sports game, 2v2. Competitors pick the game, rules, how long, whatever. It could be FIFA, it could be Chell, it could be Super Mega Baseball, it could be Madden. It's up to whoever's playing. And it doesn't have to be the same game on Friday as Saturday. You can switch it up. Next up, the normal games. Cribbage, 1v1. I think this is the only 1v1 game we have in here. Competitors pick the rules. I don't know cribbage that well, so I'm sure there's different scores you can do, but cribbage made the cut because we had a few people playing cribbage last year, and I know Dickie really wants it. And he did all this work to get on the podcast, so we got to give him what he wants. So a cribbage match each day. Dickie, you can only do it once. The other game is left, right, center. The only rule here is that you must have equal amount of players from each team. So if we have 3 people from one of the teams, we need 3 from the other because we need to make sure it's a fair chance of which team's going to win. And for this game, since so many people can play, you can have the same people play both days. Doesn't really matter for this. And since it's like all luck. Drinking games. Okay. So we got beer pong, keeping it traditional. 2v2. Competitors pick the rules. So one game Friday, one game Saturday. It could be different rules. It needs to be different teammates. And they'll figure it out. And then the other one is Survivor Flip Cup. So it has to be at least 4 people playing. If one team has less players, then someone on their team's got to go twice. And we'll figure out the rules when we decide to play. And I forgot there's one last drinking game. Quarters or chandeliers. Got to have at least 3 people from each team who play. You can play multiple days in a row. We're going to play a lot of quarters. We're going to play a lot of chandeliers. So I don't think finding teammates will be difficult. But once your team has been eliminated from quarters or chandeliers, you lose. So that's how that'll work. And the last activity, sports betting. So it's a $10 bet each day. Each team must make one $10 bet. Whoever makes the most money wins. If both teams lose their bets, then no one gets a point. And so you can just take like a spread and pick one game, or you can do a parlay. It's up to you. The goal is to win the most money. So if you think the other team is just going to lose, you could do a minus 500 bet if you wanted. It's adds a little bit of strategy. So one $10 bet, whoever makes the most money wins. So those are the activities. We got golf and pool, Mario Kart and a sports game, left, right, center and cribbage, flip cup, quarters and beer pong, and a $10 bet. These activities can be done whenever. You can have multiple activities going on at once. They can be done by whoever. You just need to make sure that for the games that are like 2v2 or 1v1, you have different teams. And we'll make sure that one of these happens each day. Are there any activities that we need to add? I try not to do just activities that I'd like to play, just in case my team doesn't have anyone interested. But if we want to add an activity, maybe I forgot something, now is the time to speak up. I'll pause if there's a conversation going. If not, this is it. And so I guess I'll add, we're not going to like pre-elect who's playing each thing. If you and say me and Rick really want to play Mario Kart, we can just go challenge someone on the other team to play Mario Kart. And then that's the game. You just do have to declare that it's an official game. You can't just like casually play and then be like, oh, that's a point. Like declare, agree on the rules and go. So if there's no other questions, it's time to pick a captain or pick our captain. So on the count of 3, everyone is going to point to who they think they'd like to be captain, a captain, and the 2 people with the most people pointed at them are going to be the captains. You can point for yourself if you'd like to be a captain. Very high stakes stuff, so you might feel that you are best equipped to do this. So, on the count of 3, point to who you would like to be a captain. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's count up who has the most votes. And those are our 2 captains. We'll pause it if we got to figure something out because maybe there's a tie. I don't know. Cool. All right. Now that our captains have been decided, pick your teams. It's time to draft. Draft your Rager Cup teams. You know the activities. You know how it's going to go down. Pick your teams. I'll pause it while we do this. Wow, what a good team. My team's fucking loaded. Loaded. All right, so the Rager Cup is live as soon as this episode ends. And you can start playing whatever game you'd like, whenever you'd like. We just need to make sure we get through the activities each day. So that's the Rager Cup. Good luck to everybody. So now it's time to trade. Psych! We got one more surprise. Actually, well, first, reminder about the Hooligan merch. You can do whatever you'd like. You can make some custom last place t-shirts. You can make a t-shirt for your team. I'll have it all set up. I might even already have it set up from Thursday. And you can fuck around. I'll show people how to do it. Help you out. So do make your merch if you brought something to get created as merch. But the real surprise is an upgrade. We're a decade into the league. We have an official logo. We're about to have some merch. We have a hula goat. We have an owners meeting. It is time that we have a symbol that represents just how official our league is. We're not some ranky-jank, low-budget league. We're the best fucking fantasy football league in the goddamn world. And we deserve a trophy that represents that. So, I know we brought in trophies 2 years ago, but we now have a new trophy that is going to be here for at least the next decade. And so when you win, you have something that stands out and shows just how big of an accomplishment you have reached. So here's a new trophy. I got it somewhere in this room right now. It has all of our previous winners on it. And I still got to figure out how we add new winners to it. But it's about time we upgraded this damn thing. So that's the final surprise that I have. It's now time to commence the trade party. So if someone has that bell, ring the damn bell and let the games begin. Let's fucking go. Greatest fantasy football league in the world. And this is the best weekend for it. Let's go.
With a dream, my cardigan. Welcome to the land of fame excess. Am I gonna fit in? Jumped in the cab, here I am for the